I'm your host, Safa Al Chami, and today is a really, really special episode because it marks an anniversary of something that I hold really close to my heart. And I love the fact that I get to share this with you. I love the fact that I get to, bring you guys into my world. And I've really created a little community around, my story, and you guys have seen, my growth over the years. Those who known me from very, very early on Instagram, or even from my previous businesses, know what kind of person I am. I lead with integrity, I lead with honesty, and I lead with kindness. I like to call myself the kill 'em with kindness. So I'm always killing people with kindness. I always lead with kindness first. And if you've had the opportunity to see my growth, I thank you from the bottom and sincerities of my heart. And today is a very special episode, and I am about to tell you why. Have you ever found yourself on a winding path, each twist and turn leading you closer to your true purpose? Well, today I'm excited to share my own journey, and a journey that's taken me a little bit of a long time, and it's taken me on an incredible 2 years of the Hype Coach podcast. And we explore the lessons learned along the way that shaped who I am today. As you know, life isn't really the one-dimensional. There is so much intricacies of the person that you are today. Every twist, every turn, every bump in the road, every adversity and every challenge really contributed to the person that you are today, and also allowed you to create this sense of growth. So I like to look at life as a learning perspective. It's kind of something that's kept me grounded. It's something that's kept me grateful for the blessings that I've been given. Yes, I'm fortunate to share my story today, but who knows, maybe 5 years from now, or maybe a couple years from now, you'll be the one that's sharing your gifts or your story for who you were, up until that point, or who you were designed to be. I like to say to a lot of people that we are verbs. Who you are today is something that you do. So Safa isn't a noun, it's actually a verb. There is a kind of intricacy and adaptability and flexibility into the traits that I have right now. And the person who you see right now definitely went through a lot of adversities, a lot of challenges along the way to learn all that she's able to bless the world with, her knowledge and her perspective. So today, if you haven't realized, today is actually our 2nd anniversary. So that means there is 2 years. It's been 2 years since I started the Hype Coach podcast, and boy, we've gone through a lot. I can't even believe that I stayed consistent. Yes, I took, some weeks off. I went on holidays quite a lot last year in 2023. I traveled the world quite a lot. I went to Turkey twice. I went to Dubai. I had a lot of business meetings overseas as well. Inshallah, may the next couple of years bring on more traveling and more growth for me. And I'm definitely grateful for that. But I can't believe that I actually stayed consistent, dude. Part of it is it really helps because I have a really good team behind me. I have a whole team of virtual assistants. I actually just started a virtual assistant agency for business owners that are struggling to get to the social media part, or they want to grow their online business and their online presence and who they are as a brand. And I just opened up a virtual assistant agency for that. So part of it is definitely my team. My team definitely hold them in check, because if I don't work, they don't get food. If I don't work, they can't work. So it definitely, holds a certain level of responsibility as well. But I want to take this opportunity to share my journey with you. And boy, has it been a really incredible ride. I hope my story empowers you and inspires you to embrace your own personal life and your own personal journey as well. So if we start at the very, very, end of it, in my journey as a therapist, I've always believed in the power of mental health. But my personal experiences is what motivated me to enter this field. As you know, my mum was diagnosed about 15 or 16 years ago with bipolar and schizophrenia disorder. And she was also diagnosed with severe depression. I remember quite a lot of my life and my childhood was her either having a spiral, her definitely going through burnout. And there's some days where she did it really, really well. And if she struggled in silence. So there was that. My own mental health journey as well, obviously coming from a child at the time of a person that dealt with mental health illness and mental health processes and behaviors. It kind of leaves an imprint on you in ways that you can never understand or never explain. So that itself kind of took me just added to my experience as well. I went through postnatal depression with my daughter, which was my second child, and my youngest, and both postnatal depression were very different. They were very, very different. The first one is one where I rejected my ability as a mother, and the second one was I became obsessed with my child. I would literally watch him breathe, like sleep, thinking that he's going to stop breathing because I was so like in love with him and obsessed. It was like my little toy. That as well, having family members, multiple family members actually, that were traumatized or just went through different experiences in my life, and then they came to me and they explained their experience. And I've always been someone that had sort of that aura, as we say, or that energy where people, confide in. They feel vulnerable around you and they feel safe around you enough to tell you their deepest, darkest secrets, and that's something else. My level of, being a friend, I've been hurt and betrayed quite a lot of times, and that's fine. You live and you learn, but that's definitely what created a pivotal moment. All these pivotal moments in my life, I think what helped me cope is I always looked for the lesson. And when I looked for the lesson, it brought so much, like it allowed me to highlight what this challenge or perspective shift or experience can bring into my life and what I can help with others. So I've always liked helping, give back to the community. Even when I was a childcare educator, I remember going over and beyond because the parents were struggling or the children were struggling, or I wanted to make a mark on the world somewhere, even like literally as simple as a childcare educator. My purpose was very much greater than my employee status at that time. I always seen myself something bigger. I always aimed for something bigger because we call it the underdog story. So you've been at the very, very bottom of the food chain or the very bottom of your life, and then you move your way up. It's called the underdog story. So my story is actually picture perfect underdog story to where I am right now. So there was definitely pivotal moments in my life where I realized how important it is to have conversations about mental health, especially in a world of stigma and where stigma silences those discussions. I didn't actually, give it maybe 10 years ago, you see mental health events now and, ones around trauma and whatnot, and obviously my own experience and my own events as well have really shaped it. But 10 years ago, there was nothing like that. 15 years ago, there was nothing like that. If I had the resource that I have right now back, when I was homeless and at 18, then I wouldn't be, I wouldn't have struggled as much as I think. But obviously I was meant to struggle at that time. I was meant to go through that. As hard as it was, I was meant to go through that. I had to go through that to be with where I am today. I had a lot of amazing mentors as well, like a lot of amazing mentors. So one thing that I will highlight, that at every point of my life, I had someone who came in the form of a mentor. They definitely showed me the way. They opened my eyes to the profound impact that we have on each other. Literally, I had a really good mentor when I was even in a childcare industry. She was a diploma. She was a little bit older than me. She was actually my sister's friend. And you're a true MVP if you're watching this. I'm not going to say your name. She was an amazing mentor. She definitely was one person that I will always, always remember to the day I die. I remember even, my husband has been a significant inspiration on me. My children have been inspirations on me. My mother-in-law has been inspirations on me. My sister-in-laws have been inspirations on me. My sister, my brother, my mom, my father, all these different people in my life I've looked up to as certain mentors. I've never had that power dynamic where, I know better than them or they know better than me. I don't have that. I've always looked at some people as okay, well, I can definitely learn something from someone. What can I learn from someone? I might not like all things about them, but I'm going to kind of cherry pick the parts that I like about this person and then kind of learn how to adapt it to my life. And I think that is something that is significant. And I think that's really important. I think people forget that right now. I think people are so indulged in the ability that there is always someone better than me, that I'll never amount to anything. Well, everyone has something to teach you. If you look at people as a learning curve or something that you can learn and adapt into your life, then you'll significantly really change the trajectory of your life. From 2011 to 2017, I remember finding myself immersed in the childcare industry. So I was a trainee. Around 2011, I had just got married. I went through a hard time in my life where I stopped working. I used to come from the retail. I did call center work a little bit, but I remember, okay, well, it's time to get into a career. It's time to get qualified. I was so against learning. I remember that. I didn't want to learn. I didn't want to go to uni. Even till now, I haven't gone to uni. I've done a whole little bursts of short courses because I just don't have the mental capacity. I just learn in a different way. I personally am a kinesthetic/visual learner. If you know what that term is, I've actually done a whole episode, a whole podcast on that. It's called Why Don't You Learn Like Everyone Else? It's called Learning Styles. So I know I'm a kinesthetic/visual learner. I learn through working with my hands, and I learn through visualizing and a little bit of auditory as well. Childcare industry is significantly challenging because there is a lot of little hurdles that you consistently have to go through. You're working with children here. Some children come to childcare from 7 a.m. to 6 p.m. 5 days a week. You probably see them more than their own parents at that stage, and you do. And you have a great amount of impact. You have a great, just any influence on these children. So it was really challenging. I learned so much about child development and the importance of nurturing environments. You see, every single child has a unique story, and I was fortunate enough to witness many of them. Things like sexual abuse, neglect, neglectful parenthood, undermining and manipulative parents. I learned all of that. I also spoke to a lot of parents as well. You get to know a lot of parents, and even then, they had 5 kids and they were working and they had a business and whatnot. And they just astonished me. So I always had a greater purpose. I remember my boss in the childcare industry. And when I say from 2011 to 2017, I didn't stay at one center. I worked at so many different centers in this thing. I didn't last more than a year in between these roles, either because they didn't want to keep me for a year, or I just didn't like the environment. I had my kids in between there. I had my son in 2014 and then my daughter in 2015. I remember taking my kids to childcare with me while working in childcare. My daughter was 2 months old when I went to childcare, and I was working full time. And I was working in the same room. So they were in the baby room, the nursery room, and I was with them. Just to give you some clarification on how hectic my life was. I really understood the intricacies of the child's mind. Because in the diploma or in the early childhood degree, you learn to a certain extent about the child's mind. You do something called observations, is where you put the child down in an experience, and then you basically you dictate what they were doing, what they said, how they used. You have to analyze what skills they need to learn. So they used to say to me, oh, all you do is change nappies. And I'm man, if only you freaking knew. I worked with an ECT for about 6 months. ECT is early childhood teacher. She has a uni degree. And she would say to me that because I'm an early childhood teacher, I'm not allowed to touch nappies. And I'm like, okay. And then I learned different aspects of observations through her. So just the intricacies of the child's mind, you would have to enhance yourself significantly for you to figure out, okay, this child needs to learn this skill. This child needs to learn this skill before they go to school. This child needs to learn that skill before they go to school. Or this child's really, delayed in that sense. And then I got really good at pinpointing if a child has a delay. If they had autism, mild autism, I would that needs to be checked out. Second thing, I got really good at paying attention to children's cues. You get to know the child so well, you understand patterns, you pick up patterns. And then some things are nature and some things are nurture. So some things come from their learning style and some things come from home. So you need to differentiate between those two skills. So there was that. So there's a lot of development in the childcare industry for that. Changing nappies is just one part of it, dude. Childcare industry is beyond me. I know how to create trust with a child in probably about less than 15 minutes. That's why I'm so good at it as a therapist now. I know how to calm a child after a tantrum. Kaman, as well. Kaman means as well in Arabic. As well, in a very short amount of time. I can pinpoint a child's development and what they're going through if I know them really well. So you get really intuitive and observant with the childcare industry. So that's definitely a skill that I learned from the childcare industry. And I'm definitely grateful for that. Will I be going back to the childcare industry? Hell to the no. Because that ship has definitely sailed and I don't see myself there unless I own one back in the future, which is definitely on my books. As I continued my journey, I remember opening up my own babysitting business in 2012. I can happily and honestly and openly tell you that I was the most trusted service in the entire Western Sydney suburbs. I can tell you that. We had, and I say we because I had a whole team. We were the most influential, most trusted. We babysat for influencers at one stage and models. for big events. I remember one specific, we're looking after over 100 children, me and my team in a room at a hall. We're looking after the event coordinator's children. The childcare industry, again, it really enhanced my capabilities of looking after children in a different environment. So the childcare industry was an environment away from home, and the babysitting industry was an environment at home. So you learn so much about the child, their routines, their characteristics, what they like to do. I love it. I did love babysitting for a very long time. This entrepreneurial venture taught me invaluable lessons about responsibility, time management, building trust with families, sometimes parents counselor. I gave him advice. I was able to identify specifically, I remember this scenario itself. I was looking after a child. He was 2.5, 3, and I was calling his name and he wouldn't respond, but I would tap him on the shoulder and he'd respond. So I'm like, okay, I don't see any, and he would make eye contact with me and everything. So I'm like, I don't think it's autism. But when I would speak to him, he would respond to me, and his speech was somewhat like slurred. His speech was somewhat like a little bit delayed. So I remember telling the parent, can you go get him an ear and like go take him to the ENT, go get him a hearing test. So she just did that. She went, because she obviously trusted my judgment. She's like, you know what? I'm like, if it is, great. If it isn't, then, better safe than sorry. So I remember telling her that. I told the mum, go and, get him a hearing check and check his ears. It turned out that the child was deaf in one ear. And the funny thing is, I didn't know this until 5 years later, because the parents stopped using me. So you just kind of just move on. You don't really have a follow-up process back then. Well, I didn't anyway. So it turns out the child was deaf in one ear, and the hearing test at the newborn stage didn't pick it up. No one picked it up. The doctors didn't pick it up. I picked it up. I was the babysitter, just a simple babysitter, and I was able to pick it up. And I didn't know this until she inboxed me on Instagram 5 years later, telling me that, 1, 2, 3 happened. And I'm telling you, I was mind blown. And she's like, if you hadn't told me to go and get that hearing check, I wouldn't have known that he needs hearing aids. And I was like, whoa, like something so small. All I said to her is, just go get him checked out. Just go there. And trusting my own judgment was something that I definitely learned along the way. It was definitely a pivotal moment. Children definitely test your patience. I remember my patience was definitely tested quite a lot of times. But you know what? I'm grateful for it. Children do test your patience, and 100%. During this time, I had opened and closed a tutoring business for early childhood, like just before they go to school. And it just drove me even more so. In 2018, I made a shift. I made a massive shift. And when I say shift, it was like black and white. I became an online wealth coach. I was driven by a desire to help others achieve their financial goals. How it came to play, my husband responded to, if you want to make money online. And in 2018, it was not heard of. Let me tell you, we had to deal with, is this a scam? All that shit. When I tell you, it was a significant shift and we had to go against the grain. We were the very, very first people in Sydney to do this venture. For those who have been following me long enough, it's called Kangen Water. Look it up, Kangen. Kangen Water by Najik. I am a distributor. I am actually one of the most top, till this day, me and my husband are the most top grossing distributors in Sydney. And the best part of Kangen Water is I use Kangen Water every single day. That's why people give me compliments about my skin, because I drink alkalized water. With the machines that were their water filtration systems, with the machines, a business opportunity was sold. It's an 8-point system. The company gives up to 57% of the commissions back to the affiliates. And you can do this to the sound, everyone's always looking for a business. You can buy a Kangen Water machine, pitch it to your friends, pitch it to your family. We ran ads online, and that's why I'm really good at business, marketing, management, branding. Along that as well, that came with challenges as well, significant challenges. The transition was definitely with no challenges, but the success stories of my clients and my team would made it worthwhile, beyond me. I loved seeing the transformations. I loved how they took control and control of their finances. And it was definitely very, very fulfilling. Along this, I remember, COVID hit, and then that's when we lost passion for it. So we just went and did an automated system, and then we have a website for that. for those who want to purchase the Kangen water machines and everything. So like back in 2019 or 2018, it was really unheard of for someone to work online. But now, if we look at it now, it's definitely, everyone wants to make money online. Everyone wants to do e-commerce. Everyone wants to do a podcast. Everyone wants to do that. It's not unheard of now. We did this a very, very long time ago. I have literally content on our Facebook business page back from 2018. That's what? 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24. That's 6 years of content. 6 freaking years of being on social media. 6 years. So you can say your face is your brand. That was definitely that. After 6 years, we stopped that in 2022 and we went full into something else. What happens when you're an online wealth coach? You are responsible for people's mindsets. And I loved this part. I loved the mindset aspect. I loved the psychology aspects. I love, the belief system. I love the subconscious. I loved all of that. So I'm like, you know what? I felt a calling and I wanted to deepen my expertise further. And that's what led me to study counseling. But hear me out. I didn't just happen. This is how literally it came to you. I came across this business venture. I don't like to say by accident because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't do anything by accident. But I didn't. It wasn't planned. I'll tell you how I had the idea. I was watching a show called Chicago Med. And there was a psychologist inside the emergency room. And I loved his perspective. And I was like, I'm at home. I had an e-commerce business as well at the same time. I used to sell phone cases and little gadgets. I'd sold that completely. I don't do that anymore. I didn't even have the idea of doing full. I just wanted to do coaching or NLP to help my team in a Najik, to help my online wealth coaching business. So I'm like, okay, you know what? Let me go into coaching. So I did coaching and NLP and I loved it. I loved it. And at this point, remember, I still had an online presence on TikTok, on Facebook, on Instagram. So I started getting people wanting to hire me as a coach, people outside of my, online wealth coach, MLM network marketing. I was like, okay, sure. So I got a couple, clients and whatnot, and I made a significant impact. I was like, what? This is my calling. So I did NLP prac, and after that, I'm like, okay, I need more. It was like a zest for information. So it was 6 months between the NLP prac and the NLP masters. So I enrolled, I paid the entire thing off, and I was just like, more, I need more. So in between this, I was learning, timeline therapy. I was learning, energies. I was learning different things. Dr. Joe Dispenza is a very big role model in here. So it was such a transformative phase for me. It was so pivotal. When I say accident, I literally had an idea of just, watching Chicago Med, and then that's what led me here. Once I finished the NLP prac, there was a time at the end where they were telling you about all the other courses that they would do. And I remember I had used a hypnotherapy to help me overcome my trauma back in 2019, just before I had my youngest. And I was like, you know what? I'd love to be a hypnotherapist. Let me just make sure that it's halal in Islam. So here I went down the rabbit hole. Is it halal in Islam? Got fatwas from everywhere that is definitely halal from Islam. So I was like, yep, done. Click. That is my chance to go into this route. So then I went to psychotherapy and hypnosis. All these modalities, they added layers to my practice, allowing me to support my clients even further in ways that I could never comprehend. I've seen firsthand all these techniques in facilitating real change, how they can really help someone really overcome their strategies and overcome their hardships. But before I even went down the route of helping other people, I went down the route of helping myself. So I used the techniques on myself and they worked significantly. I was like, that is amazing. It's such a massive amount of, information. I just felt like I was craving more information. So as I reflect back on the journey, I was amazed at I'm amazed about how each chapter shapes who I am today. And the experiences in childcare, entrepreneurship, coaching, therapy, they all intertwine and create a rich tapestry of learning. And this is not, just my story. This could be your beginning of your story. See, every single dream that you have was just an idea. It's just an idea. Your job is to put it into play. Everything that I have right now started off as an idea. You started off as an idea. My coloring book, which is here, the one that's available on Amazon now to purchase, that started off as an idea to help someone really create their perspective of, easing their anxiety through coloring and finding love through coloring. And then I added the embedment of Islam because I'm studying Sharia at the moment. Everything is an idea, guys. It all starts with an idea. Your job is to put it into play. I am just a testament of that, what you can create. When I wanted to be a motivational speaker, it was an idea. You are the one that puts it into play. Your dua, your actions, your processes, your behaviors, what you do every single day, your to-do list, they all need to intertwine. They intertwine to make whatever you want to achieve. Everything is an idea. Your job is to put it into play. Your job is to put it into, the tapestry of your learning and the tapestry of your pivotal moments. Like, I'm really excited for what the future has to hold. I know, 2024 is almost coming to an end. We've got 2 months left until 2025. Yes, I gave you that reality check. If you are the same person today as you were last year, this time, we have a problem. And the last thing that you want to do is become the same person next year as you were this year. So we want to change. Humans are designed for change. We're designed for adaptability. Everything around us, nothing ever stays the same. So what makes you think that you're going to stay the same? I truly believe that we can all grow together, and I encourage you to share your own stories. Thank you so much for being a part of this journey with me and your unwavering support over the last 2 years and over the last 6 or 7 years if you've been watching me from the very, 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 very beginning. Your engagement means the world to me. I can't do this without you. I am so grateful for you. And as we move forward, I invite you to connect with me, share your thoughts. Let's continue this conversation. Let's share your stories, share your dreams and the ability to want more in this world. You are not selfish if you want more. And remember, every dream starts with an idea. What ideas will you come up with today that are going to contribute to your dreams? That's going to, give you a fulfilling life, or giving purpose in your life. Remember to subscribe, leave reviews, and share the podcast with others who might benefit from your discussions or our discussions. And here's to many, many more episodes and growth ahead. Stay safe. Stay hyped. Let's grow. Thank you for tuning in to this episode of the Hype Coach podcast. If you did enjoy this podcast episode, please share it on your socials. You can find me on IG, Safa Al Chami, TikTok, The Al Chami Life, and you can book a personal therapy package at my website, www.thehypecoach.com.au. I look forward to working with you. Let's grow.